And we are live for week 15. We got Saturday football on our TV screens today. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be live for about the next hour, breaking down everything you need to know about the games. Today, I'm going to be traveling home to Boston later today during the games. I'll be at the Pats game on Sunday. So I wanted to go live this morning, even if some of you aren't up when I'm recording this. Hopefully you can watch it afterwards for all the information you need about today's game. Justin, good morning. Got a question for you. Gibbs, Zeke, Henry, or Devontae Smith at flex. Full PPR. Yeah, this one's really, really close. I really want to start Ezekiel Elliott this week. I also really want to start Devontae Smith this week, though, especially in a PPR league. I do think the answer here is probably going to be Zeke. Yeah, it's Zeke. Zeke was the number one running back last week. He had 30 touches. Much tougher matchup for him this week. Still is a must start. It's close between these two. I would start both them, I think, over Gibbs and Derrick Henry this week. Definitely a close call. All right, we got a question here with some Saturday players. So we got Ty Chandler playing today. We got Jalen Warren playing today. We got Jerick McKinnon playing today. Let me pull up the running back tiers here up on the YouTube. On the TikTok live. I'll pull up my must start running backs on the YouTube live. Jalen Warren versus Ty Chandler is definitely close. I think I'd probably play both those guys over Jerick McKinnon. I think the answer here is Ty Chandler, though. Yeah, it's Ty Chandler. There's no Alexander Madison in this Vikings game today. Let me run through the games today really quickly for us before diving into some more of these start sit questions in the comments. So the first game of the day, let me pull this up. The first game of the day, we got Ty Chandler and the Minnesota Vikings. Nick Mullins is starting for the Minnesota Vikings today. And they're 3-point underdogs in Cincinnati. This game is projected to be somewhat high scoring. Actually, the games get projected to be higher and higher scoring as the day goes along today. So we got a 40-point over-under in this Bengals-Vikings game. The Vikings players that I want to start today, if you really need a QB, I don't think it's that crazy to send it with Nick Mullins. Justin Jefferson is going to play today. If you have Justin Jefferson, you need to start Justin Jefferson today. TJ Hawkinson is also a top 2 tight end. I think you could argue him number 1 over Travis Kelce, with Kelce having a tough matchup against the Pats this week. So start Hawkinson, start Kelce. And yeah, I think Ty Chandler can be started in this one for sure with no Alexander Madison. Ty Chandler, he should be in a Zamir White type of situation. We were debating Zamir White, Ty Chandler. What an absolute banger of a Thursday night game again, by the way, this week. But we have Ty Chandler in a workhorse role. In a game where they're projected to lose, we know Ty Chandler's a decent receiver too. He's not going to be game script dependent here. I think he gets 15 to 20 touches. He has not been the most efficient running back rushing this season. But yeah, Ty Chandler's a better start than Jalen Warren, for example. Second game of the day, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Indianapolis. They're 1-point underdogs in this game. Guys, we got to keep starting Zach Moss. I know it's not an easy thing to do to continue to start Zach Moss. He's let us down 2 straight weeks, but the usage has been there. Jonathan Taylor is going to be out again in this one. I'd prefer not to start Jalen Warren in pretty much all situations that I can afford to bench him. Najee Harris has been getting a lot more work than him since the OC was fired, Matt Canada. All right, Zach Moss, 84% snap share, at least in his last 2 games. He's had at least 23 routes. He had 8 targets, 21% target share. He's had at least 13 carries in back-to-back games. Man, this efficiency has been brutal. Under 3 yards per carry in back-to-back games here for Zach Moss. But he gets the Steelers this week. And guys, last week, the Steelers led up the number 1 running back performance in fantasy football to Ezekiel Elliott, who I think is a pretty comparable player to Zach Moss in the current state of things in terms of usage, in terms of lack of efficiency. I think Zach Moss is a good start today against the Steelers. I'm very scared to start George Pickens and Deontay Johnson and Jalen Warren. And I'm pretty scared, honestly, to start Najee Harris too. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris have been sharing the backfield all season. It does feel like Najee Harris has the slight edge in terms of usage. Jalen Warren is going to continue to have the edge in terms of efficiency. I disagree with where Walter's projecting these guys. I think I would take Najee just slightly over Jalen Warren, but both have really big bust potential for sure. On the Colts side of the ball, you got to start Michael Pittman, and basically no one else other than Michael Pittman, Zach Moss can be started in that offense. I do think you can not trust Mitch Trubisky, and I don't really want to trust Gardner Minshew either. Pull up the QB tiers here on the TikTok live. We're live on YouTube. We're live on TikTok. Guys, if you're up with me before 9 a.m. in the morning, make sure you're smashing the like button. Hit the subscribe button. The like button will actually help even more today because I'm hoping some people will watch this live stream after they wake up, after this live stream's already over. Shout out to everyone here who's here early in the morning with me. I'll get back to some of these start-sit questions now after I talk through the last game of the day, the Denver Broncos playing against the Detroit Lions. The Broncos are 4.5-point underdogs in this one. Sneaky upset potential here. We got two teams heading in opposite directions, and the team that's trending up, the Broncos, they are the underdog here, while the Lions have been really some big disappointing losses. They need to win this game to stay in the thick of the playoff hunt. This game has the highest over-under of the day. I do think this game could be really high scoring. I do like starting Russell Wilson in this one. I think Javonte Williams, despite the tough matchup, can be started in PPR leagues. His usage has been great. On the line side of the ball, you're starting Jahmyr Gibbs. I still think David Montgomery is a good start as well. And yeah, you still have to start Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's pretty much it. I don't feel great about Jared Goff with how the Broncos have done. A big game. Yeah, it's a huge game for everybody, guys. This is the fantasy football playoffs we're talking about this week. Pick two, please. Gibson, Reed, or Evans. Thank you. Yeah, it's Evans and Gibson, I think, over Reed. Reed has been questionable this week. If he plays, I'd like the spot for Reed, but not more than Mike Evans or Antonio Gibson without Brian Robinson playing. I'm playing Nick Mullins over Jared Goff. I don't feel great about that, but I do think that that does make sense with the weapons Nick Mullins has and how run-heavy the Lions might be in this one. All right. Hey, Sam, Chandler or Keaton, and then Addison or Hutchinson. Times are rougher. Yeah, you got to play Addison over Hutchinson. Like I get Hutchinson's like a deep play for the Texans. Addison's got to be started over him. I don't feel good about Addison at all, but he's better than Hutchinson. And then Chandler versus Keaton Mitchell. I think the answer here is Chandler. It's definitely a closer one than I expected. Yeah, it's Chandler. The matchup's better for Chandler. Chandler's probably going to touch the ball more than Keaton Mitchell. Ty Chandler, Devin Singletary. I think I'd go Ty Chandler there as well. Let me go back to the must starts here. Yeah, Blake, I'll have positional rankings on the live stream tomorrow morning. For this morning, I have just the must starts at each position. So let me get those going here. Good morning, King. Chuba Hubbard or Alexander. Yeah, so Alexander Madison is not playing today. He's out. So this is an easy one. This is a layup. Got to make your layups. Madison's out. Get him out of your lineups for sure. Need to know about James Cook, Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins. Yes, so you're definitely not starting T. Higgins there. That one's absolutely between James Cook and Calvin Ridley, and I think the answer there is James Cook. Really big receiving role for him last week, and that game's going to be really high scoring between the Bills and the Cowboys. Also starting Hawkinson, so it's fine if I have basically the whole Vikings offense. Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm not going to feel amazing about it, but if that's the best plays, that's the best plays. I honestly don't overthink the stacking a lot of the times with these start-sit decisions, especially in season long. Player props. Yeah, so we complete swing and a miss, guys, Thursday night. That was probably the biggest swing and a miss that we had all season. Hunter Renfrow had one target hit off his face mask. That was it. Zero catches, 0 yards for Hunter Renfrow Thursday night. That moves us to 23-10. I do got a free player prop, though, for us today, of course, and it is Jahmyr Gibbs over 53.5 rushing yards. I'm pretty surprised about this line. The Lions are favored in this game by 4.5 points. The Broncos have been crushed by running backs this season. Jahmyr Gibbs has been over 5 yards a carry in the vast majority of his games over the last 2 months. Only 2 games did he go under 5 yards a carry, and he had 4.5 and 4.9 in those games. Jahmyr Gibbs is the most explosive player on the Lions offense, and they're starting to realize it. He has been over this line in 4 of his last 5 games. Guys, he's been over this line in 6 of his last 7 games. How are they setting this line at 53.5? I really don't get it. Jahmyr Gibbs over 53.5 rushing yards. That's the free player prop of the day. I do really, really like that one That's what I'm rocking with today. I'll have another one for you tomorrow morning. But we are 23-10 on these free player props. We're moving to 24-10 soon. Can you do a quick tutorial on how to take picks from the app? Yeah, sure, man. So really the very quick tutorial is if you're looking for, like, I just want to know what picks to ride ASAP, then you go to the picks tab, you click on the NFL player prop picks, and you look through the picks. You can read through the explanation for each pick. Make sure you turn push notifications on for these. Like you can see Javonte Williams popping up here at the top. These lines move really fast. Like this over 2.5 receptions line, it's gone. It was gone like 20 minutes after he posted it. So that's why you need to turn push notifications on when you are writing the picks. But the other thing you should do is go to the NFL Player Prop Evaluator. This is the more live feed of the best props to take based on Walter's projections. And you can click into these and see deeper insights about each of them. You can access the player game logs from this screen too. Obviously, use your own decision-making when placing props. But that's a little bit of how to use the Walter Picks app for the props. It's the prop evaluator for the real-time feed, and then the picks for the vetted. It's like the vetted version of the real-time feed, but it's in a moment of time, right? The lines change. That's why the prop evaluator is really useful if you missed the push notification for the props. All right, Justin Jefferson or Breece Hall and flex. Guys, there's no benching Justin Jefferson. Do not bench Justin Jefferson. There's basically no situation where I would do that. There's only two wide receivers I would start ahead of Justin Jefferson this week, and it is CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown. I'm starting Jefferson over Tyreek, who's questionable this week. He probably will play. I'm starting Jefferson over Cooper Kupp, who I absolutely love this week. I have him in the elite top tier. I'm starting Jefferson over Michael Pittman, who's been as safe as it gets in fantasy this year. Jefferson could easily be wide receiver 1 this week. Absolutely, it's in the cards. Hey, Sam, Saturday question, Montgomery, Zay Flowers, Zeke, Courtland Sutton, pick 2. Yes, so we're starting Zeke this week. There's no way around it. He was running back 1 last week. It's a tougher matchup for him this week, but he had 30 touches last week. He had an insane receiving role. I do think this is probably, we're going to look back at Ezekiel Elliott from this season, and this is going to be an outlier for Zeke. It's going to be an outlier for Zeke last week. He's probably not going to be running back 1 again this season, but he played 91% of the snaps. He was only off the field for like 4 of the snaps the whole game. He ran a route on 70% of the dropbacks. He had a 31% target share. You do not see this at the running back position. 7 catches, 72 yards. He caught a touchdown. He has a good chance to rush for a touchdown. You got to start Zeke. I think the floor is there. Like he's going over 10 points with his usage, and the ceiling's there too because the touchdown upside, assuming the Patriots can move the ball, which maybe is a bit optimistic. I'll be at that Pats game. They're going to get crushed. But still Zeke's usage, he's a must start, I think. And then we got Montgomery, Zay, and Sutton. I think this is a much, much closer comparison here. So we're going to do this one live. This is not pre-recorded, but I am recording this early so that some people can watch it post-recorded. So I talked through every game. I got the free player prop out. I got a DraftKings lineup for us today too. I'll share that in a second. But I do want to make sure, it's the fantasy playoffs. I'm out here grinding for you guys. We got these three. I think it's going to be between Flowers and Sutton. Yeah, especially if this is a PPR league. I do like David Montgomery's floor. It's Flowers. Yeah, you got to go with Zay Flowers here. It's a really close call for sure. But yeah, I'd go Zay Flowers over Sutton over David Montgomery. Brian Robinson is out. I do not want to start Chris Rodriguez, though. Where's Stephon Diggs? Oh, yeah, Steph Diggs should be in the top tier. He should be like right next to Javonte Smith. I did not mean to leave him out on this wide receiver tier list behind me on TikTok. Pick 1 full PPR, Walker, Flowers, or JSN. Yeah, this one's Flowers too. It's Flowers too over here. As good as Kenneth Walker was last week, and I was pretty surprised about the receiving role. I was pretty just wrong about the receiving role for Kenneth Walker. I'm a believer that Zach Charbonnet is a better receiving back than Kenneth Walker. Does not seem like the Seahawks really thought that last week. 60% route percentage for Kenneth, 16% target share. Both those were way higher than Zach Charbonnet numbers. But he gets the Eagles now this week, the number 1 run defense in the league. He's not going to be able to run effectively. He only had 2.6 yards per carry last week against a good 49ers run defense. The floor and ceiling just too low for me for Kenneth. I'd much prefer Flowers, and I think I'd play JSN over Kenneth as well, and not pre-recorded, Alex. All right, Ayuk, Rashee, or Rashee Rice or Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, I both these guys really high up. I got Rashee Rice actually ahead of Ayuk, though. I think the floor for Ayuk is a bit lower than it is for Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice has been balling, man. He's had at least a 25% target share in 3 straight games. So we got a long question here, but you need 1 running back, 1 flex. We got a bunch of options here. And yeah, it's Ty Chandler, it's Antonio Gibson. I'm playing Ty Chandler and Antonio Gibson over Zay Jones, over Kenneth Walker, over George Pickens, over CEH, over Jerick McKinnon, over Rashid Shaheed. And guys, I'm having flashbacks. I'm not going to lie. I'm having flashbacks to this time exactly last year where I was telling so many people to bench Jerick McKinnon, bench Jerick McKinnon. I told a million people to bench Jerick McKinnon, and he ripped off 3 straight league-winning games over 30 points in back-to-back games at this time of the year last year. He had a 22-point game in the fantasy football finals, but the usage is just not there for McKinnon. Not a great matchup here for him against the Pats. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a good chance to vulture a touchdown. McKinnon scored last week. He still only had 13 points. The receiving role wasn't quite what we wanted it to be, only an 8% target share. The snap percentage isn't that great. I definitely feel better about Antonio Gibson than Jerick McKinnon. Same thing goes with Ty Chandler. All right, Cortland Sutton or David Montgomery. Yeah, we just looked at this comparison. It's Sutton, just barely it's Sutton. I'd say Montgomery is safer. Sutton has the higher upside, though. Play 3, Metcalf, Debo, Evans, Puka. Yeah, this is a tough call, but you got to bench Mike Evans here. You're definitely starting Debo Samuel, and you're definitely starting Puka Nacua. So it's between Metcalf and Mike Evans. I'd lean Metcalf with that matchup against the Eagles. I do like that spot for him a lot. All right, JJ, Puka, Devontae, Rice, pick 3. Yeah, so I want to start Rashee Rice this week, but I'm not going to start him over Devontae Smith. I'm not going to start him over Puka Nacua, and I'm not going to start him over Justin Jefferson. So you got to bench Rashee Rice in this one. Good morning, Sam. Good morning to everybody in this live stream right now. We got 25 minutes left in this live. It's going to be a quick one today, but I'm going to be live again tomorrow morning, so don't worry about it. We're going to have a quick live tomorrow morning, too, before I go to Gillette Stadium to watch the Patriots get crushed by the Chiefs. All right, we got Hollywood Brown, D-Hop, or Scary Terry. I don't know how many I'm supposed to pick here, but I'll just rank these guys. I think DeAndre Hopkins is number 1. I put Scary Terry number 2 and Hollywood number 3. I'd go Hop, Scary Terry, Hollywood Brown. I think all 3 are similar options, but Hopkins has 24 targets in his last 2 games, man. He's in a different tier than these other 2 guys for sure. Let me go to my must-starts here on the TikTok live. I'll get to some more of these start-sit questions. Taysom or Likely, yeah. So, oh God, this one's really tough. There's some specifically difficult tight end decisions this week, and Taysom Hill and Darren Waller, I think, are the most difficult decisions of the week at tight end. Darren Waller's back, guys. Darren Waller's going to play, and Darren Waller. If we pull up these game logs, I know it was a little bit ago, so let's just refresh our memory of what was Darren Waller doing this season. He was the number 1 receiver for the Giants when he was healthy. He had over a 22% target share in 5 of his last 7 games. I mean, you don't see this at the tight end position. He had multiple games at a 30% target share as the best receiver on the Giants. In his first game back, though, I don't know how we can trust him. Then Taysom versus Likely, it's another really tough call. Likely's coming off a really good game. He was a top 5 tight end last week. Taysom, though, is also coming off some good games. He didn't play last week due to injury. Not a bad matchup for him this week. Let me pull up this comparison. I think I would probably lean Isaiah Likely. Yeah, Walter agrees. It's a close call. If Olave doesn't play, I do think this probably changes my answer. And Olave is truly questionable this week. I think he'll probably end up playing, though. So I'm going to go Isaiah Likely here, but it's a close call for sure. All right. Let's get back to some of these start sits in the comments. Shout out to everybody in this live stream. We got a TikTok live subscriber, Jose, Brandon Cooks, Warren, Mitchell, and Jigba Flex. I kind of think this one's Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think I would go JSN over Warren. I think I'd go him over Brandon Cooks. It's close with him and Keaton Mitchell, too. I think it's between him and Mitchell. This is PPR, I'd go JSN. If it's not PPR, I think I'd go Keaton Mitchell. I would play Keaton Mitchell over Jalen Warren. Sam Howell, Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford, PPR. Yeah, so we're starting Matthew Stafford this week, guys. You got to start Matthew Stafford. 100%. You have to start Stafford. Let me pull up the QB tiers here up on the TikTok live. The only quarterbacks I'm starting over Matthew Stafford this week are Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. That's it. That's it. End of list. I'm starting Stafford over Purdy. I'm starting Stafford over Fields. I'm starting Stafford over Jordan Love. I'm starting Stafford over Patrick Mahomes. I'm starting Stafford over Trevor Lawrence, over Russell Wilson, over Kyler Murray, over Jake Browning, over Tua. I want nothing to do with Tua this week, by the way. I could definitely see a big game from Tua, despite matchups, especially if Tyreek plays. But, man, I could see a really, really low floor for Tua this week. We've seen the floor from Tua in about half of his games over the last month and a half. He's been at 12.5 points or below. We haven't seen a game over 20 points for Tua since week 8. It's week 15, guys. That was 2 months ago. And now he gets the Jets, one of the better secondaries in the league. Plus, there could be some wind and rain in this game. Let me go through the weather report really quick because there's a lot of games, guys, like on the fringe of being concerned about weather-wise this week. First of all, the Falcons and the Panthers. There's going to be a lot of rain the entire game. Plus, we got wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. And that's not good news for Desmond Ridder. Take the Desmond Ridder unders if you still can. I like Bijan in this game, and that's about it. I don't think I like anyone else in this entire game. Then we got the Bears and the Browns. That game is going to be a little bit rainy. That game is going to be a little bit windy. Not wind that I'm super concerned about. Honestly, the Bears and Browns game, not overly concerned about. The Jets and Dolphins game, this one's been going back and forth about concerning, not concerning, concerning, not concerning. Right now, it's looking like around wind gusts around 30 miles an hour. There is going to be some wind. There might be some light rain, but probably not. Looks like it's going to be cleared by game time for that one. The Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills game, probably going to be raining the entire game. Probably going to be some winds throughout the game there. Not significant wins, though. So overall, I'm not too concerned about that one. The Ravens and Jaguars game was one of the games that looked really concerning earlier in the week. Not as concerning now. We are going to get some wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour in that game. Honestly, it's a similar weather report, though, that the Ravens had last week, and Lamar did fine. So the most concerning games weather-wise this week, the Falcons and the Panthers, and the Cowboys and the Bills and the Bears and the Browns. But really, it's just the Falcons-Panthers, honestly, that I'm most concerned with. That game's going to be ugly. All right, Evan Ingram or Isaiah Likely? Yeah, it's got to be Evan Ingram over Isaiah Likely for sure. DK, Puka, or Mixon? Yeah, it's Puka here. It's Puka over DK easily. I mean, it's not even close, I don't think. It's Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford against the absolutely abysmal Washington Commanders secondary. What about Odell and Baltimore Jags game? They're said to be rain. Yes, I'm not overly concerned about that. The weather in that game. The weather concerns rarely amount to any changes at all. 100%. I'm 100% with you. I'm not a weather alarmist. I call out the weather so people are aware, that I'm aware of the weather, when making these start-sit decisions and giving these rankings out. But the only thing that really matters when it comes to weather that I actually think impacts games, and there's actually a lot of data that I've actually done analysis on this myself, wind over 25 miles an hour is where you start to have significant impacts on passing game. And as you go up in the wind levels, it just gets more and more dramatic of how it can actually impact the game. So like 30-mile-an-hour wind, that's concerning. The only game, though, that's going to get there and have the potential to get there this week is that Falcons-Panthers game. Adding rain on top of that does make it like a little bit worse. But guys, players can play through the rain. They can play through the cold, and they can play through wind under 25 miles an hour. These are professional athletes. But over 30 miles an hour, it is just hard to throw the ball deep. That's basically my only take when it comes to weather. And I do think, most people are weather alarmists when you shouldn't be. Where's Diggs on the tier? Yeah, Diggs should be tier 1. I left Diggs out on the TikTok tier list by accident. But yeah, he's in tier 1. Tight end rankings. Yeah, I'm going to go to the tight end rankings. Half PPR, Jerome Ford or Jaden Reed, since Watson is still out. Yeah, Jaden Reed is questionable this week with an ankle injury. I do think he'll go. I do like the matchup a lot for Jaden Reed this week. He ranks really well. He projects really well. Jerome Ford's usage has been solid too, though. I think Jerome Ford is a bit safer than Jaden Reed because of the injury. Limited on Thursday. This was from last week. He had 10 targets last week, 26% target share. PPR, I'm going Jaden Reed. Yeah, I'm going Jaden Reed. I'm holding out hope that he's going to play, and I do think he will play. Laporta or Kittle, and do I go Achane or Swift? Yeah, so Achane's such a tough spot. If Achane plays, you go Achane, though. If he plays, you got to go Achane. There's a good chance he doesn't play. The Dolphins are huge favorites. They're like 9 or 10-point favorites over the Jets. Achane picked up a new injury, a toe injury. There's a real chance Achane ends up sitting this week. RB list. Yeah, let me go to the RB list for you. Laporta, let me go to the RB list here for you guys on the YouTube live too. Laporta or Kittle, and do I go HN? Yes, it's Laporta over Kittle, and it's not even close. There's a clear top tier, a tight end for me this week. It is Kelsey, Hockenson, and Laporta. I'm playing Laporta over Kittle. I play Laporta over McBride. I disagree with that ranking in the Walter pick set. I think Laporta over Evan Ingram is well within the cards. Ingram's been balling. Ingram has been the number 1 tight end. He was the number 1 tight end last week. He was the number 2 tight end the week before that. The consistency from Evan Ingram this season has been absolutely incredible. He doesn't have a game with less than 5 targets the entire season. He has been the most consistent tight end in the NFL. Maybe Hawkinson's there with him, but I don't even think Hawkinson has this clean of a game log here. Like insane. Over a 16% target share every single week. And now with Christian Kirk out, this is going to continue. So yeah, regardless of matchup, Evan Ingram there is a good argument for him over Laporta. But yeah, I'm starting Laporta over Ferguson, over Kincaid, over Njoku, over Kittle, over Goddard, over basically everyone other than Kelsey, Hawkinson, Ingram. Michael Wilson or Chris Rodriguez for flex, battered with injury. Yeah, so I don't even know if Michael Wilson's going to play. If he plays, I think it's still Chris Rodriguez. Etienne or Pollard, I'm going Etienne over Pollard this week. It's a close call for sure. But Pollard does have a kind of a tough matchup. Etienne has a tough matchup too, though. Let's actually compare these guys. Is Pollard's matchup actually that hard, though, against the Bills? Let's see. Let's do this comparison. Travis Etienne versus Tony Pollard. Etienne, part of the reason I like Etienne more than Pollard is the snap percentage popped back up for Etienne last week. 77% snap percentage for Etienne last week versus a 68% snap percentage for Pollard. It's a close call. Pollard has been better of late. Back-to-back 17-point games, though, for Etienne. They've actually been pretty similar. I think I would go Etienne still over Pollard, but it's closer than I originally thought. Hey, Sam, Ingram over McBride. Yep, Evan Ingram over McBride for sure. Evan Ingram has been the most consistent tight end in all of fantasy football. It hasn't even really been that close. Corinne Williams, Saquon, Mostert, Etienne, PPR. Yeah, it's Corinne. You cannot bench Corinne Williams. Guys, Corinne is right up there with Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's truly incredible. Here we are. Corinne Williams is in the elite of the elite usage-wise. Guys, he had 25 carries last week, and he's not coming off the field, and he's seeing targets too, and this game's going to be high scoring. The Rams are going to score so many points. I'm honestly a little bit torn because I want to start Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua really badly, but I also want to start Corinne Williams. I mean, can all three of these guys really eat? Like, one of them might end up disappointing, but the usage is going to be there for Corinne. Hey, Sam, start 3, PPR, DK, Puka, Evans, Henry, Rice, and more. So, yeah, you're starting Puka Nacua. You're starting Rashee Rice. And then I think I probably would go DJ Moore here. If that's DJ Moore at the end, I think I'd go DJ Moore over Mike Evans and Derrick Henry in PPR especially. It's not an easy matchup for DJ Moore against the Browns, but DJ Moore has completely destroyed man coverage this season, and the Browns play some of the highest rate of man coverage in the league. I do still think DJ Moore is a good start in PPR. I would play DJ Moore over DK Metcalf and over Derrick Henry and over Mike Evans. Where would Moss be? Yeah, so I have Zach Moss in here. He's in tier 4. I still want to start Zach Moss. I can't get off of Zach Moss, guys. I feel like it's a little bit like the Josh Kelly situation earlier in the year when Austin Eckler was out and the usage was just going to be there for Josh Kelly. The difference is Zach Moss, like he's not going to come off the field for more than 20% of the snaps. Zach Moss is getting over 84% of the snaps. He's getting all of the running back carries. They're playing the Steelers, who just allowed the running back 1 performance to Ezekiel Elliott last week. No running back had more fantasy points than Zeke in PPR at least last week. So, yeah, I still like Moss. I still think Moss is a pretty good option. I'm starting Moss over Mostert, over Achane, over Montgomery, over Gibson, over Chandler. I'm starting Moss over Swift, over Aaron Jones, over Keaton Mitchell, over Najee Harris, over James Conner. I'm starting Moss over all those guys. I think you could argue Zach Moss over James Cook. I think you could argue him over Javonte Williams. That's probably where I would draw the line. I'm not going to start Moss over Pollard, over Mixon, over Breece, over Henry, over Saquon, over White. Yeah, start Corinne Williams for sure. Sam, I need to pick one. Full PPR. McKinnon, Ford, Moss. Yes, it's Moss. It's Moss. It's Moss over Ford. It's Moss over Chandler. It's Moss over McKinnon. Zach Moss is going to get more usage than all of these guys. And we just saw Zach Moss get a 21% target share too. McKinnon didn't hit that, even though Pacheco was out. Chandler's not going to hit that with Hawkinson and Jefferson. I think it's Moss, man. I think it's Moss over these guys. Mostert or Waddle? I'd go Waddle over Mostert. No way Rachaad White's tier 3. He's top 5. Well, yeah, I have him near the top 5, to be fair. He's at number 8 in these rankings. So he's not that far off. But yeah, you could definitely make a good argument. Rachaad White belongs like right next to Bijan, ahead of Zeke at the top of tier 2. I'm fine with that argument. Levis, Flacco, or Trubisky. Oh, gosh. Let's go to the QB tiers here on the TikTok live. Levis, it's Flacco, I think. I would play Flacco over Levis. Flacco's been good. Flacco's throwing too a lot. Let me pull the Flacco numbers here. Joe Flacco in the fantasy football playoffs is not where I thought I would be. But yeah, Flacco has over 15 points in both of his games. The Bears have not been the best defense this year. He's thrown the ball over 40 times in both games. He has 5 passing touchdowns. It's Flacco. Yeah, it's Flacco over Levis. It's Flacco over Trubisky for sure. You cannot start Trubisky. Start 1, Achane, Aaron Jones, and Ty Chandler. Yeah, Achane and Jones are questionable. That's a really tough call, honestly. There's also the weird wrinkle with Aaron Jones start the decisions, making it extra tough, is A.J. Dillon's also questionable. And I'd argue A.J. Dillon's more questionable than even Aaron Jones is. And so if A.J. Dillon doesn't play and Aaron Jones does play, you're going to have wanted to start Aaron Jones. Ty Chandler's the safe play here, of course. I actually think there's a decent chance Achane doesn't play, but since you have 2 guys here that play tomorrow, I would bench Ty Chandler. I'd hold out hope for Aaron Jones and Achane. That's me. Sam, mate, need your help. It's 1 a.m. in Melbourne. So please help. Do I start Antonio Gibson or Kenneth Walker? Josh, shout out to you for tuning in all the way from Melbourne. And good morning to you, man. This is a true good morning to Josh here, who is 1 a.m. For Josh. It is 9:30 a.m. here for me. All right, Kenneth Walker and Antonio Gibson. It's Gibson. Yeah, it's Gibson. Kenneth Walker gets the number 1 defense against running backs this week. The Eagles numbers against running backs are terrifying. I was wrong about Walker last week. The usage was actually really good for Kenneth, which does make this a little bit of a tougher decision. Kenneth Walker he ran a route on 60% of the dropbacks for the Seahawks. Zach Charbonnet is a better receiving back, but that is not how the usage went last week. Tony Pollard did have 16 points against the Eagles in their last game. CMC went for 22. That was the best running back game we've seen against the Eagles all season. But we haven't seen a 25-point game. I mean, there's not a huge ceiling here. Antonio Gibson gets a projected high-scoring game too against the Rams. Yeah, I think I'm going with Gibson here over Kenneth Walker. Cheers to you as well, Josh. Do I start Justin Fields or Jake Browning? Yeah, so if I go to the QB tiers, I got these up actually. It's Justin Fields, yeah, over Jake Browning. Jake Browning's in play though in a lot of spots. There's a legitimate argument, guys, for Jake Browning over Patrick Mahomes this week. I think Patrick Mahomes, one of the toughest decisions of the week is, do you start Patrick Mahomes, who has not had big games this year? Jake Browning has kind of been balling, and I don't have the guts to do it. I do not have the guts to start Jake Browning over Patrick Mahomes in the fantasy playoffs. But maybe some of you do out there. I mean, Mahomes has been under 25 points every single game since week 7. He has not been he has not had the ceiling this year. And a lot of it has to do with the weapons around him. Now he goes into New England, a defense that's been pretty good this year. Jake Browning coming off back-to-back games over 24 points, something that Pat Mahomes has not done in a month and a half, 2 months. And now he gets a decent spot here against the Vikings. But yeah, I'd still go Mahomes just because I just can't do it. I can't get myself to do it here in the fantasy playoffs. Got to smash the like button. We're about to wrap up this live stream in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to be live again, though, tomorrow morning. We talked through every single player I think you should start. I talked through in the first 10 minutes of this live over on YouTube. You can go watch that back. You can watch it back on YouTube. So hit the like button if you're watching live on YouTube right now, because it will really help me out to get other people to watch this live, the recording of this live later today when they wake up. All right, Mahomes or Fields? Yeah, I think you got to go Fields over Mahomes. I would go Browning over Sam Howell. I'm going Lamar versus Stafford. I'm going Lamar over Stafford, but I do really like Stafford this week for sure. Let me pull up the DraftKings lineup really quick. I'll talk through the free player prop one more time as well. I do like stacking Nick Mullins today in the Thursday slate on DraftKings. I like Zach Moss again on the slate. I like Jahmyr Gibbs too. Jahmyr Gibbs actually the free player prop of the day, over 53.5 rushing yards for Gibbs. He's hit this in 6 of his last 7 games. He's a 4.5-point home favorite against one of the worst run defenses in the league. I really do like this Jahmyr Gibbs prop. He can hit this in a single drive. Josh Downs, Jerry Jeudy. I'm paying down for these guys to get Jefferson and Hawkinson stacked with Nick Mullins. I probably should get a Bengals player in here if I'm going to stack the Vikings. It's probably a mistake looking at this. Like maybe maybe I find a way to shove Jamar Chase in here, honestly, or T. Higgins maybe is a better receiver to pay down for rather than Josh Downs. I like the Colts defense here too. Reed or Ridley. Oh, it's a close call, man. I think it's Reed. If Reed plays, I think it's Reed. Miami defense or Falcons defense. I do really like the Falcons defense this week. That game's going to have really bad weather too. That Falcons game is going to be very windy and very rainy. Justin Jefferson, Debo Pittman start too. Yeah, so I didn't think I would join this live stream and tell a single person to bench Michael Pittman, but I'm not benching Justin Jefferson, and I really don't want to bench Debo Samuel either. I think Pittman's safer though than Debo. I honestly think I'd bench Debo and start Pittman, but yeah, it's a close call there for sure. The free player prop again, guys. We are 23-10 this season on the free player props. I'm going Gibbs over 53.5 rushing yards. Jones, Montgomery, or Achane. It's Montgomery here over Achane and Jones. Yeah, like if you have an option like Montgomery, Achane and Jones are both questionable. Even if Jones plays, I think I'd prefer Montgomery. Achane, if he plays, I'd probably want to have played Achane, but I think there's a pretty decent chance Achane doesn't play, or at least doesn't see a big role here. In the Dolphins should win pretty easily. CEH, or Deontay. Yeah, I want none of those guys. I want none of them. It's probably CEH, honestly, over T and Deontay. Deontay and T. Higgins have extremely, extremely low floors. In a tough spot this week, pick 2, PPR, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood, Curtis Samuel, or Gabe Davis. It's not a Saturday question, so we can get to this one Sunday morning too. I think the answer here, these middle 2 guys, Hollywood and Curtis Samuel. I want nothing to do with Gabe Davis, though. Like, this could be a boom. You know, we're going to get a boom or a bust from Gabe. Nothing in between. He's had a couple busts in a row. I think, does he have back-to-back donuts here for Gabe Davis? Am I remembering this correctly? Let me pull up the Gabe Davis game logs, because they are a true sight to behold here for Gabe Davis. Yeah, he's got a donut, 22.5 donut. And then donut, he's got 3 donuts in his last 5 games. We haven't seen back-to-back donuts, though, so that's a good sign here for him. Honestly, maybe I would go with him over Hollywood. I think I'd probably go Hollywood and Curtis Samuel here, though. I would not play Deontay Johnson. Oh, right, yeah, Johnson does play today. Good call, good call. Yeah, I would not start Deontay Johnson here, though. Chase or Jefferson, I'm going Jefferson over Chase. Levis or Mullins? Oh, God, I'm going Mullins over Levis. Mostert or Moss? I'm going Moss over Mostert. You gotta start Moss. You gotta start Moss. This is not a close one here. Henry said, "Hey Sam, please pick 2: Kyron Pollard, Javonte Williams." Yeah, it's Corinne, and it's Pollard here, guys. That's my time today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic football Saturday today. I'll be back live early Sunday morning tomorrow before I go to the Patriots game to make sure we're getting all the Sunday morning live questions in. I'm also going to post on TikTok momentarily the guys I refuse to bench heading into the fantasy football playoffs. As always, if I did not get to your start sit, I try to get to as many as I can, as always, but I can't get to all of them. Go to the Walter Picks app. It's free. It's the best place to go for start sit decisions in fantasy football. It is in the TikTok bio. It is in the YouTube description. Guys, have a fantastic Saturday. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Thanks for spending some time with me today, guys. Good luck today, everybody.